It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Episode 112 of the Rob Carson Show podcast. Recording these shows on the first day of Jim Comey testimony before Congress. And we'll do a little audio on that because it's a developing story. And then we've got plenty of other stuff that's not political that we will get to very shortly. The sponsors, of course, today, as always, at least this month, are Grass Monsters KC, grassmonsterskc.com. They sell residential and commercial mowers. They sell a couple different types of them. One of them, Dixie Choppers, made in Indiana. The other one, Hustlers, made in Kansas. See a lot of these on trailers behind trucks, ground crews with these incredible American-made mowers that are built like a brick excrement house. Whether you want the Z2, which is a residential Dixie Chopper, the Silver Eagle, which I have in my garage, the Excalibur, which is glorious, or if you want to go with Hustler, the Raptor SDX, the Raptor Flip Up, the Fast Track, all of these are fantastic. Zero turning radius, they last forever, and they steer like a dream. Also, fountainoflifechiro.com is a sponsor. Dr. Alex Nelson does chiropractic care, and I am a huge, huge believer. He can work on migraines, headaches, back pain, low back pain, neuropathy, carpal tunnel, I should say, hip pain, knee pain. They take care of athletes, professionals, and otherwise, firefighters, first responders. Here's their number, 816-741-4711, 816-741-4711. They are on Congress Avenue, North Congress Avenue in Kansas City. fountainoflifechiro.com. Okay, so let's get into just a little bit of Comey testimony. One soundbite, and I was hoping to hear this today. I was really hoping to hear this today. Because we heard that, well, it's been bandied about that Donald Trump has said that when it came to Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn, Donald Trump said, why don't you ease up on the investigation? And that has been just, this is a career ender for Donald Trump. This means impeachment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I posed the question earlier today in podcast number 111. What about Loretta Lynch? What about Loretta Lynch saying to Jim Comey, hey, why don't you ease up on Hillary Clinton? Now, you know that Bill Clinton met with Loretta Lynch on the tarmac the Monday before the FBI director announced that the email investigation would not be pursued any further. All right, he was asked today, and it looks like Loretta Lynch did the same, but only worse, that people claim Donald Trump did to Comey with regard to Mike Flynn.
Influenced by the Attorney General's tarmac meeting with the former President, Bill Clinton.
Yes, in a ultimately conclusive way. That was the thing that kept it.
Yeah, whoa. In a conclusive way, that sounds like a crime.
For me, that I had to do something separately to protect the credibility of the investigation, which meant both the FBI and the Justice Department.
Were there other things that contributed to that you can describe in an open session?
There were other things that contributed to that. One significant item I know the committee's been briefed on. There's been some public accounts of it, which are nonsense, but I understand the committee's been briefed on the classified facts. Probably the only other consideration I guess I can talk about an open setting is that at one point the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter, which confused me and concerned me. But that was one of the bricks in the load that led me to conclude I have to step away from the department if we're to close this case credibly.
It confused me and concerned me. He's a very confused man. He was very confused as to why he got fired when Donald Trump was telling him he was doing a good job. He was confused by the first meeting with Donald Trump. As I mentioned, I think he's Mr. Spock. I really do. I think he is a career bureaucrat who has no ability to relate to the private sector. I think that when he met with Donald Trump for the very first time, it was like Captain Kirk meeting Mr. Spock for the very first time, and Spock just sat there and tilted his head like a dog trying to understand what you're saying. I think that's I really think it's the perfect analogy. I really do. And I'm also seeing today that it seems he's a bit butthurt over being fired. There's a little bit of that. Because you don't just fire somebody into a 10-year deal, right? 4 years into a 10-year deal. So I think there's a lot. There are some little tinges of personal hurt. This Mr. Spock apparently has some feelings. He does. Senator Kamala Harris had a real nice analogy comparing Donald Trump talking to Jim Comey about Mike Flynn to an armed robbery.
Let me ask you, what do you make of...
Let's try that again, this one.
My experience of prosecuting cases when a robber held a gun to somebody's head and said, "I hope you will give me your wallet." The word hope was not the most operative word at that moment, but you don't have to respond to that point.
Armed robbers don't say, "I hope you'll give me your wallet." They say, "Give me your effing wallet or I'll kill you." What a stupid thing to say. Wonder how long she sat on that one. One other just Comey note today on this podcast. He decided to take notes for the very first time after meeting with Donald Trump. He had met with Barack Obama once, and it was to discuss race relations and law enforcement, okay? They talked for an hour alone. Then they talked again when Barack Obama said goodbye. And that's what he said in testimony today. He was asked why he decided to take notes today. I think this is Senator Mark Warner asking the question. Why he decided to take notes today. And I want you to listen to this carefully because, like I said, butthurt bureaucrat.
What was it about that meeting that led you to determine that you needed to start putting down a written record?
A combination of things. I think the circumstances, the subject matter, and the person I was interacting with.
Okay, the person I was interacting with? Okay. Well, what's that supposed to mean?
Circumstances first, I was alone with the President of the United States.
You had a meeting with him, Barack Obama, solo, before.
Or the President-elect, soon to be President. The subject matter, I was talking about matters that touch on the FBI's core responsibility and that relate to the President-elect personally. And then the nature of the person. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. That combination of things I'd never experienced before, but it led me to believe I got to write it down, and I got to write it down in a very detailed way.
Again, Mr. Spock not being able to relate to Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk, flamboyant, passionate, feeling. Mr. Spock, no ability to feel anything. Let's listen to the last part of that again.
That relate to the President-elect personally, and then the nature of the person. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. That combination of things I'd never experienced before, but it led me to believe I got to write it down, and I got to write it down in a very detailed way.
Okay, so that sounds like somebody who is a little butthurt over being fired, uncomfortable as a career bureaucrat, not used to talking to people like this. Donald Trump asked for his loyalty, which is something that you would expect him to do. He's a captain of industry in New York City. All right. When you work with him, you're going to kiss the ring. You're going to kiss the ring. You know? Jim Comey said that he thought the president wanted some sort of a patronage relationship. Well, that's what Donald Trump, that's the world he lives in. All right, you do this for me, I do this for you, and tell me that doesn't happen in Washington, D.C., dear Lord. Maybe not so much with the FBI, but certainly with Congress and lobbyists. He said also today, although the law required no reason at all to fire an FBI director, the administration then chose to defame me, and more importantly, the FBI, by saying the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce had lost confidence in its leader. I don't doubt any of those things, Jim Comey. There are a lot of people who are saying that about you, sir. Back to what he said today, those were lies, plain and simple. And I'm so sorry that the FBI workforce had to hear them, and I'm so sorry for the American people who were told them. There was a crisis of confidence by many in the FBI to Jim Comey, particularly with the fact that the day that he decided to drop any indictment of Hillary Clinton because of the emails, he stood for 14 minutes and talked about all of the things she did that were illegal, and then went ahead and just dropped everything. And this is the Monday following the meeting with Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton on a tarmac. Again, Donald Trump expects you to kiss the ring. Bill Clinton, something else. Okay, that's it for that today, all right? I'll have another podcast, episode number 113 will probably be all Comey testimony because it's developing today. And I'm going to be on Facebook today commenting while the video is going live. That may mean nothing to you because you may be listening to it another day. Anyway, Greg Gianforte, remember that guy? He was a Montana House Republican who was charged with assault last month after body slamming a Guardian reporter. Remember that? Man, these stories come and go, right? Earlier this week, we had a young woman arrested for leaking documents to a left-wing publication. Her name was, Reality Winner. Where's that story today? Well, this guy, by the way, Gianforte, is agreed to donate $50,000 to a national press group as part of a civil settlement. And it's a part of the settlement between the two. Ben Jacobs was the writer. And, of course, Gianforte said, my physical response to your legitimate question was unprofessional, unacceptable, and unlawful. Okay, I get it. We'll see if there's anything pursued beyond that. But he went ahead and won the election. He won it. Massachusetts woman now faces animal cruelty charges because she allegedly allowed her pig to become morbidly obese. Megan Caterino of Billerica, Massachusetts, had her potbelly pig, Maybelle, probably a very popular name with potbelly pigs, removed from her care after the authorities discovered the pig weighed 196 pounds, double what it's supposed to. The pig couldn't carry its own weight, therefore she was unable to stand, and they got this. Okay. This is... Although Caterino claims she was keeping the pig for a friend, this is the third pig to be removed from Caterino's care. This is sad because you know why they fatten up pigs? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Here's an interesting story, and it involves nude sunbathing and drones. 7 girls from Spain filed a police report saying they were recorded by a drone while basking naked on the deck of a boat in Mallorca. According to the complaint, several Spanish outlets reported they were spending their Saturday catching up on a boat owned by one of them, 5 of them sunbathing naked on the deck. Let me Google this. When they noticed a drone buzzing at one point, they saw a drone red light came on to record them. They looked over and saw a nearby yacht, and there were men aboard looking at a screen and laughing. They started shouting and making signs for them to stop. It ended up following them into port, and the police were reported, or I should say, were called. The men reportedly admitted to having taken images of the girls, but claimed they erased the recording right away. You're naked on a boat in a country's waters or even international waters. There's nothing that says that you can't take pictures of you from above. You don't own the air right above you. I originally thought you should be able to go and fly a drone above a nude beach and take pictures. It is public property. You're out in the public, and it's your own damn fault that you're laying out naked. I don't know. I don't particularly care for sunburned genitals. I never have. One time I went with listeners to Jamaica, and I'll never forget there was a woman. She was kind of a library type. It was the last person you'd expect to, sunbathe naked. So I'm down at the beach, and all of a sudden I see in the distance there's a woman walking toward me with no top on. And I'm like, well. And she walked right up to me like it was nothing. Bravo. She's took great care of herself. But anyway. Evergreen State University. There have been kids who demanded the firing of a professor there because he refused to leave campus because of a protest. There's I always forget this guy's name. He's a professor, and the protest was people of color on campus wanted everybody on campus who was white to leave the campus for a day. I don't see the point of this at all, to be quite honest, because they used to do this thing where the students of color and faculty of color would leave the campus, and then you'd see what an impact it would have on the campus. All right, as far as the operation of the campus. Then they ask all the white people to leave the campus for a day. Now, doesn't that do the opposite of what they were trying to prove? Are they trying to prove that white people are worthless? Because I'll bet that campus crawled to a halt when all the white people left. All right? It's just, to me, it is ridiculous. Well, some kids are fighting back, and they're brave kids. A small group of students, about 17 students, have signed a letter rejecting the McCarthy-esque witch hunting that has taken place. By the way, that professor, Brett Weinstein is his name. He had criticized the plan, a day of absence at the school. These kids said, we reject the McCarthy-esque witch hunting that's taken place. Simply crying racist has become sufficient to destroy credibility and power accusers. This has been accompanied by vigilante action against those dubiously accused of racism, and this behavior has not been reined in by the administration. And these kids, these punk asses, are walking around campus with baseball bats. They're walking around campus with baseball bats. And so this group of 17 kids says that they've been verbally and physically harassed, even physically assaulting them and other members of the student body. Over $10,000 worth of vandalism has been caused by these kids with their baseball bats. Get your asses to your classes or get your ass out of college. I'd throw them out. The extent to which the college's administration has, through inaction, allowed student protesters to control campus, which has led to the campus being unsafe. Truly unsafe, by the way. Not unsafe because somebody's coming to speak and you don't agree with what they have to say. And if you look at some of the course catalog at Evergreen State, you'll understand why this sort of insanity has bred. Now, the other day there was a protest, and one of the Evergreen protesters, I played this, decided to read a statement in front of everybody. This is I don't know if it's college freshman, junior, sophomore, whatever, doesn't matter. But I want you to listen to this illiterate Evergreen student who's a punk-ass protester trying to read aloud.
Has demonstrated anti-blackness in the pigeonholing, charging, and sentencing of two black trans disabled students based on false racially charged allegations. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Next time, just do green eggs and ham. Something a little more your grade level. Not saying this is just a black thing, but I do want to say that a new study in the state of California says that 75% of black California boys don't meet state reading standards. Saw this the other day. 3 out of 4 boys in California classrooms failed to meet reading and writing standards on the most recent round of testing, according to data obtained from the State Department of Education. More than half of black boys scored in the lowest category on the English portion of the test, trailing their female counterparts. This disparity reflects a stubbornly persistent gender gap in reading and writing scores that stretches across ethnic groups. Well, because there's been a war on boys in school. You know, it was unfair. Schools were unfair to girls, and I understand that. Girls were not supposed to be in science and all that. Okay, whatever, fine, I understand. But now it's become a payback as a bitch scenario. And that's why you end up with students in college like this.
Has demonstrated anti-blackness in the pigeonholing, charging, and sentencing of two black trans disabled students based on false...
Man, you're going to get a scholarship if you're black, trans, and disabled. I mean, you're going to get one hell of a scholarship.
Racially charged allegations.
Yeah, okay. Here's some of the classes that they are offering at Evergreen State, which they just ought to shut the whole effing place down. First of all, they don't receive grades. They receive narrative evaluations that give them feedback on their performance while preserving their self-esteem. Okay, that's important. Students only take a single set of classes each year. There are no semesters, right? This coming fall, for example, you could take a number of classes that count as biology. This is biology, apparently. Reproduction, gender, race, and power is a biology class. Dancing molecules, dancing bodies where you'll use the art of dance to communicate with your body and understand the chemical process within. That's another class. If you would prefer, Actions and Their Consequences will examine local, national, and international policy issues of a post-colonial and neo-colonial world in education, healthcare, social welfare, and environmentalism through a series of interdisciplinary lectures. What absolute academic horseshit. And under physics catalog, there's a class called Defending Mother Earth, Science, Energy, and Native Places. Yeah, that's why we have kids who can't read and carry around baseball bats, because they feel like they're being treated unfairly. My son just went to prom, and he paid for his own suit. We didn't spend a lot of money on prom. It was like $60 for 2 tickets to the prom, and then he bought his own suit. His friends went in a car. He paid for dinner. We don't spend a lot of money on prom. And I never, I expected my mom and dad to spend a lot of money on prom. A woman in Philadelphia spent $25,000 on her son's prom. Philadelphia teen waltzed into his prom with a camel, a Lamborghini, and 3 dates. After his prom, shelled out $25 to give him an unforgettable senior dance. Johnny J.J. Eden Jr. had a Dubai-themed dream prom complete with 3 tons of sand. After his mom, Saudia Schuler, pulled out all the stops for her only son. No telling what a camel takes to rent, but in Ohio, it's $850 an hour. This woman lives in Philadelphia. American families spent on average $919 on prom in 2015. Bullshit. Really. Families whose household income was below $50,000 a year plan to spend $1,109 2015. Families making under $25,000, $1,393. Okay, really? You need those SNAP benefits? Families made over $50,000 spend an average of $799. So the poorer you are, the more you spend on prom. Schuler saved up her money. She battled cancer and a stroke, and she decided that this was going to, be some sort of a payback to her son. She scrimped for more than 2 years, saved up $25,000. In addition to the Lamborghini, Schuler rented her son a Rolls Royce and a Range Rover for the evening. She received both praise and backlash online. Saddens me and maybe others that someone could spend so much money on a night when in reality, if you were humble, you would spend it on his education. Well, no shite. One admirer said, "You're an inspiration to the entire city of Philadelphia. Your story has touched hearts and lives of so many people. Mom, you are an awesome job. I salute you, Queen." $25,000 for a stupid night. $25,000 for a stupid night from an adolescent. That could have gone toward education. He could have gotten easily a community college education for $25,000. That's, to be sorry, that's just not common sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. A little more campus madness to get here pretty quick here. This is at the University of Iowa. As my computer pings. University of Iowa professor recently argued that appreciation of white marble used in classical artwork contributes to white supremacist ideas today. I don't think a lot of white supremacists go to museums. Maybe not. Professor Sarah Bond demonstrates in an article published in Hyperallergenic, that many of the statues released in sarcophagi created in the ancient Western world were in fact painted, meaning the white marble often seen in such places of art, were intended to be colored. Quote, is a dangerous construct that continues to influence white supremacist ideas. Oh, shut up. She argues that the equation of white marble with beauty is not an inherent truth of the universe, and thus a dangerous construct that continues to influence white supremacist ideas. Whatever. These people mentally masturbate themselves to death. They twist their heads and their minds. They look for reasons to be offended time and time again. And I don't know how else you can dissect the culture, how many more things you can find offensive. Sooner or later, don't you suppose this will come back on them when they come out, when they find that some of the things they do are truly offensive? No, probably not. They don't think that way. Mika Brzezinski this morning on Morning Joe, talking about the president. Now, she is dumb as a box of rocks without the rocks. And, if you want to argue facts when it comes to Donald Trump, then that's fine. And you want to take me on or whoever on about what he did or did not say to Michael Flynn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. But Morning Joe has descended into chaos. And I don't know why I shouldn't really be playing this because nobody watches the show. Literally like 800,000 people nationwide watch the show. But she descended into an embarrassing personal attack on Trump. And her fiance, I guess, Joe, had to kind of intervene.
Well, I think he's such a narcissist. It is possible that he's mentally ill in a way.
Did you ever see all the times, countless times that Barack Obama mentioned himself in the first person during speeches?
And this is on the table. I said it months ago, and now everybody's starting to say it like it's new and it's okay to say. Yeah. He's not well.
Nobody's saying that. To think that this is funny, to think that Mika Brzezinski is leading any sort of narrative months before everybody's saying it is laughable on the face of it. Nobody, except for radical leftists who can't think of any other way to debate or beat Donald Trump, they're throwing mental illness into the mix.
No. At the very least, he's not well, and he's so narcissistic, he does not believe the rules apply to him.
This coming from a person who makes a living on camera.
And that's where the ignorance label may apply, because this is a man who says he can grab women anywhere because he's famous. He may think he can push a... Well, that's... I think there's a...
Yes, probably time to let that one go. If you're going to let go Hillary Clinton biting Juanita Broderick's lip as he sexually assaulted her, I think we could probably let go of an illegally tape-recorded conversation that was supposed to be private.
Window to perhaps the other sex, but anyhow, everyone has their ideas about why he said what he said. But the point is that he feels he can say or do things that are different than the norm because he's famous, because he says...
No, he says things that are different than the norm because he's not a politician. He's not a politician.
Celebrity because he has power. And you know what?
I need an eject button.
It's going to come down to something. We don't...
Okay, this is where she really shows her dumbness.
Something. We don't know if it's obstruction of justice. We don't know if it's abuse of power. We don't know if it's utter stupidity. But he may not be able to be in that office.
Wow. I mean, that's genius. Did she get her degree from Evergreen State? Wow. That was fantastic. Oh, I got to get into Ice Cube's new single. I'm going to play the uncensored version because I'm a podcaster. Normally on broadcast radio, you won't say this because it has the F word, it has the N word and all this stuff. So, but we can say it here. One place you cannot say the N word is on college yearbooks. Apparently, there were some middle schoolers who had no clue. They were in a Black Mountain Middle School in San Diego, and they used a topographical map of northern San Diego County in the 1800s on the front of the yearbook. And, it was like, I don't know what this, but it looked like travel here, and they didn't realize that there was a racial epithet on the map. Nobody realized it. They weren't trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. It was very tiny. And the kids who, these are middle school kids, by the way. These are middle school kids. So, and if they're Evergreen State kids, they couldn't read the word anyway. Here's the report about the N-word being on the cover of the yearbook and how they decided to address it.
On that map, there was a reference to a place where a freed slave was known to reside, and it had a name which, unfortunately, now is a derogatory racial slur.
Now, the spokesman for the school can't even say the N-word now. First, you couldn't say the word. Now you even can't say, just call it the N-word. Now you've just got to say something that must be remained unspoken. Like Voldemort, right?
We're upset.
You can't say Voldemort, right? In Harry Potter, I don't think you can say the word Voldemort.
Find that had made it on the cover of the yearbook. Approximately 1,000 yearbooks then were corrected. And literally, staff went through each yearbook and scratched.
This is what they used to do to mail in the Soviet Union. Really?
Off that word from the cover. This was an unfortunate, inadvertent mistake on the part of our yearbook staff and our yearbook advisor.
Honestly, I mean, I don't like the word. I find it offensive, but it was very Soviet-esque to remove all of the books and scratch off the word, because everybody is so incredibly hurt that somebody mistakenly put up a map from the 1800s, a historical map from the 1800s. This is the same effing thing they want to do, and many have done to Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. Just none of the kids in the school are destroyed about it. They're laughing about it. They're going, "Oh, geez, that's you dummies. Look what you forgot." That's what they're saying about it. They're giggling. They're middle schoolers. Oh, look what. But these adults are so freaked out, they have to confiscate the yearbooks and scratch the word off. I don't know, man. We live in weird times. We live in weird times. Some people could say the word every other word. There's a new single out. Here, let's see if I can find this. I got it from Thrillist today. Let me see if it's still in my mailbox. Thrillist is, I love Thrillist, by the way. But they've got this new, basically saying these are songs you've got to download, you've got to hear right now. Let me see if I can find it. Thrillist. Well, if I find it, I'll play it for you. But basically, every other word is the N-word. And I'm not going to say it because white guys lose their careers over it. That's basically it. White guys lose their careers when they try to say the N-word in any way, shape, or form. But some people can get away with it. I'll try to find the song. I hate to leave you hanging like that, but anyway. Ice Cube has got a new song. And I actually hung out with Ice Cube at Disney World a few years ago with my family. We went down. He had a short-lived TV show on TBS, which was called Are We There Yet? And it had Terry Crews in it. And we had a really wonderful time at Disney World from PBS. PBS they're terrific. They always took very good care of me and my family. So we went down there. And it's funny, we're in Disney World, right? We're at Disney World, and we're at this restaurant that has this giant aquarium, and there's divers in there. And you can actually pay to dive in the aquarium and all this stuff. And anyway, it's all that. And here's old Ice Cube sitting in the corner, surrounded by a couple bodyguards, like somebody's going to come to Disney World and gun him down. I thought it was good. No, none of the other cast members. Terry Crews walking around the park, and I've been to the park where there have been all sorts of celebrities, but there was only one person I ever saw, Ice Cube with bodyguards, and he didn't need them. Here's his new single, and I think he softened a little bit. This one is it's called Good Cop, Bad Cop. So he admits at least some cops can be good, which is kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big move. This is latest single off his Death Certificate 25th anniversary album. Here's the new Ice Cube single, Good Cop, Bad Cop. Warning, language is very terse in this.
Break 'em off some. Yeah. Good cop, rolling with that bad cop. What you doing, boy? Turning that blood clock, buckshot. They fly through the truck spots, robots. Can give a damn who the fuck shot. Clean cop,
Told
cop,
ya.
fucking with that dirty cop. Don't act like your ass never heard of that. Clean cop, rolling with that mean cop. Still trying to act proud as a peacock. You know that mean cop might need a detox.
Okay, a little creative with the language. But, kind of softened a little bit from the early 90s when all cops were bad and F the police and all that stuff. At least he's appealing to his demo. He's got a demo. They want to hear that F the police kind of stuff. Cube described a Good Cop, Bad Cop as a sort of F the police for 2017. By the way, the song F the Police came out in 1988. And listen, Ice Cube is a very successful man. I mean, a very, very, very successful man. A successful businessman, successful entrepreneur, successful actor, successful musician. I give him credit for that. And he's, whatever, good cop, bad cop. Best action movies of the 80s. What was yours? Ranker.com. Ranked the top 10 action movies of the 80s. It was a great time to see movies in the 80s. Really, really was. Some of the movies we look back now and we go, oh, man, that's so cheesy. Number 10 is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Yep. Aliens in 86. Just come on. Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade with Sean Connery. Alexandretta. Don't call me Junior. Junior. Yeah, I do the voices. Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, number 7. Oh, really? I don't know, that movie. First Blood, Rambo, number 6, Predator, fantastic movie. Lethal Weapon, number 4, that was a great movie. Terminator, 1984. Now, the obviously the special effects are kind of cheesy now. Raiders of the Lost Ark was so good. 1981, I think I was a freshman in high school. And never forget that. There was a time when you'd go see a movie, and maybe this happens with all adolescents. When you leave the theater, you're just high on it. You're just like, wow. Because I remember all of these movies leaving the theater, most of them going, wow, wow, wow. Die Hard, number 1. Die Hard, number 1. And I never get tired of that movie. I never do. And I still contend it's a Christmas movie. Okay, time for me to get the heck out of here. Again, if you're experiencing aches and pains, low back pain, shoulder pain, consider chiropractic. Consider Dr. Alex Nelson, fountainoflifechiro.com, fountainoflifechiro.com, 8335 North Congress Avenue, Kansas City. Their number, 816-741-4711, 816-741-4711. Grass Monsters KC, home of Dixie Chopper and Hustler mowers, 0 turning radius. You can get a 42-inch deck, a 48, a 54, a 60-inch deck. Any of those, and whether you got a commercial operation or a residence, they are beautiful mowers, American-made. Do not buy the mowers chained up out in front of the big box store, ladies and gentlemen, because they're crap. They're crap, I say. All right. By the way, again, Father's Day is coming up. 2 websites if you want to check out some of the politically incorrect swag that I have, including a new design, which talks about environmentalism. It says green is the new red, and it has communist symbols on it. Okay, and then there's also some non-political stuff, some humorous stuff, like veganism is an eating disorder. It's available on stickers and hats and bumpers and onesies and hoodies and all sorts of stuff. Just go to teespring.com and tpublic.com, both of those with the T-E-E. Teespring.com and tpublic.com. Just look for conservatives with a T-E-E-S on the end. Did that make any sense? All right. If you have any further questions about any of this, just check out my Facebook page, Rob Carson Show, Facebook at Rob Carson Show, and I'm on Twitter at Rob Carson. Have a glorious rest of your day. Thanks for listening. Episode number 113 coming soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.